Good morning, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. Today is Tuesday, the 29th of October, and the moon is in Libra. It moved into Libra early this morning, about 12:30 a.m. here on the East Coast of the U.S. And, of course, Libra is a sign that relates to relating. And the interesting thing about today is that both planets of how we relate to one another, Venus and Mars, are both in difficult aspects, challenging aspects to each other. Not to each other, to other planets, excuse me. And the interesting thing about the type of aspects that are happening today, in the case of Mars, we have a sesquiquadrate to Saturn, a waxing sesquiquadrate to Saturn, and Venus has a waning semi-square to Pluto. Now, I know that don't mean anything to y'all, but let me explain these particular aspects, the sesquiquadrate and the semi-square, in the relationship between two planets, brings the energy into a more introspective mode. And so the energy has been running outwardly. Everything is out. Saturn and Mars taking the action to create the structures. Venus and Pluto, Venus out there magnetically attracting the desires connected to Pluto. And now with the sesquiquadrate in the case of Saturn and this semi-square in the case of Venus, this is a time when the energy starts to move inwardly. Now, there are two different functions of that. Mars, Saturn deals with actions to create structures. Mars, Saturn can also be an energy of holding back the aggressive nature of Mars by the rules, Saturn. And let's talk about that first. The sesquiquadrate between Mars and Saturn can be frustrating. But the energy is asking us to look at something and how are we going to better make the adjustments necessary in order for us to be more efficient, less egotistical, and sort of work in the sense of service to others. That's really what that's what Saturn is asking Mars to do. Now, Mars is in Cancer, and so Cancer is kind of an energy that, cares about other people. It's not a completely, in a way, maybe that's why Mars is considered a little bit less powerful in Cancer, because Mars really is that sort of single-pointed energy of self. And Cancer does take into consideration the family, the children, all those sort of Cancer themes. I do want to say that we had a frost last night, and so you can see here that this poor plant is suffering. It's probably going to be mostly black tomorrow. And you can see that the cold has really decimated some of these plants. But, that's what happens. This is the time of the year that happens. We're getting closer and closer to November, when all the leaves come down, and there's that sort of stark cold energy of, and not really cold, but cold on the outside, warm on the inside energy of Scorpio. So you can feel frustrated today, but understand that if things aren't working out for you, it just means you need to make adjustments in the way you're going about it. You need to see how you can best self-improve with this energy. And then the Venus-Pluto energy. Venus and Pluto have an interesting relationship to each other. Venus is relationships, Pluto is desire, Venus is love, Venus is women, and Pluto is very desirous, a desirous energy. So their synodic cycles deal with how we express our desires are what are our desires, the desires of the soul perhaps, what the soul wants to magnetically attract to itself and the like. Now this synod began back in February when these two planets came together in the first degree of Aquarius, and now they are almost done with their cycle. This is the last part of their cycle before the conjunction, the next conjunction of Venus and Pluto. And so this is a time when we are extracting meaning from our relationship. You know, Pluto is also an energy of power, and Venus the feminine. And so we are evaluating the power of the feminine as it is expressed in the outer world, and also as it's expressed in our own lives. The power of the feminine is introspective. It is an energy that's interested in bringing things together, whereas the energy of Mars is sort of separating things out. And it's the balance of those things, the balancing of separation, coming together and separating, coming together and separating is like breathing, and it keeps really the world turning. So it is a more introspective time, and what I would say, we have a week to the election. I would say do your due diligence, do the voting. Most of you probably already have. Help somebody who wants to vote or whatever, all that stuff that you can still do, you can do. But I would say be very, very cautious about what you're ingesting with the news when it comes to this election, because that's going to just make you nuts, and we don't need that, really. We got plenty of our own stuff that'll make us nuts. We don't need this to make us nuts as well. Have faith, guys. We are moving into a new age, and it's going to be a new story, and one of the main characters of that new story is going to be Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And somebody mentioned the other day that they didn't feel like they could vote for Harris, and that she was hoping it wouldn't exclude her from this group. We don't exclude people. If that's what's in your heart, you know, we're not going to say you're wrong. That's what I'll say. So, and as far as I know, nobody pigpiled her, so I think we're good. So everybody has the right to their own opinion. The thing is that we don't have the right to our own facts. That's really where it comes down to. So I'm not saying this person has the wrong facts. I'm just saying that, yeah, that's the story. All right, guys, have a great day. It's really cold this morning, and we had an issue with our heat. The guy came to fix the heater yesterday, you know, to clean it out before we get started with the winter. And he forgot to flip the switch to turn it back on. And I had no idea that there was such a switch. So he had to come this morning and flip the switch for us, which sounds kind of silly. But now we know. Now you know. Once you know, you can't unknow. Unless, of course, you forget, which is why I had Michael go down and see where the switch was. Because there's chances I would forget. Because when it's not something I love, I don't always pay attention real good. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Much love. Namaste.